It's definitely a very big escalation. As you mentioned, there's been a chorus of outrage from heads of state, the EU, the US, Canada, and just about every EU member state, prime minister or foreign minister has said that Navalny should be released immediately. Um, I believe now that he hasn't. This 30-day jail sentence before a trial, where he could be sentenced for another 3.5 years in jail, uh, will lead to not just words but actions. And as you mentioned, there is now a tool which is available in 31 countries, the Magnitsky Act, which they can apply to Putin and people in his regime. And I think that's probably the appropriate next step.
Let's talk more about the Magnitsky Act. Of course, Sergei Magnitsky was your lawyer when he died in custody in Russia as your companies were being targeted. What type of sanctions could be imposed under a European Magnitsky-style act? What sort of things would you like to see?
Well, the Magnitsky Act has two basic provisions. One is visa bans, and the second is asset freezes. The second is more important than the first. And what the Magnitsky Act does is instead of sanctioning all Russians, which would be highly inappropriate in this case because most Russians are probably supportive of Navalny, not against him. The Magnitsky Act goes after the individuals involved in this type of activity, and so it would target Putin or people very close to Putin, oligarchs who financially support him, or members of his secret police that are involved in this persecution. And the reason why it's so powerful is that in Russia in particular, you have these people who are both government officials and billionaires. And as billionaires, they keep their money in Western banks. And because their money is in Western banks, that makes them extremely vulnerable to asset freezes and travel bans.
What do you make of the Russian stance on all this? There's been a pretty angry response to the Western response to Navalny's detention. You've said that the real hostage here is Putin. Could you explain that? Are the Russians really in a weak position, or are they emboldened by this?
Well, what they had hoped to do is, so first of all, just to put a little history on this, Alexei Navalny was poisoned with Novichok, a chemical weapon, 5 months ago. In order to save his life, he was sent by his family and by his supporters to Germany, where he sat in a coma for nearly a month. While he is being treated in Germany, he was in theory technically violating the terms of a parole of a previously trumped up conviction to try to take him out of politics. And so Putin thought by threatening him with jail, he wouldn't come back to Russia and he would slowly become a political non-entity. And Alexei Navalny is cut from a very different fabric than almost every other politician that we see in the West. And for him, his ideas and his hope for his country are greater than his own sense of personal ambition or safety and preservation. And so he was ready to go back to Russia, put himself in harm's way. And Putin didn't expect that. Putin thought he would just stay in the West and be in exile. And now Putin has got a problem because every world leader is going to continue to sanction him, harass him at every step until Alexei Navalny is released. And that puts him in a hostage situation of his own making.
And as for Alexei Navalny, I mean, you say he's putting himself in harm's way, given what happened last time. And of course, we've had more evidence hardened up about the Russian authorities' implication in this. I mean, how safe is he in Russia now?
He's extremely unsafe. They poisoned him with Novichok in Siberia when he was on a campaign trip. He was hospitalized, and I think they attempted to poison him again. He's now in their custody, in the custody of the people who poisoned him with Novichok. They could do anything to him, and it's an extremely worrying situation.